Behind me is the first real estate purchase I ever made, an old single-wide trailer on 1.2 acres. It looks pretty rough right now, but it's actually pretty nice. There's a garden going in the back and established fruit trees and a good garden system. The interior has been completely remodeled by the new owners, and they're about to tackle the exterior and make it really nice. But I wanted to tell my story a little bit in relationship to cryptocurrency because I largely purchased that property with crypto. I'm a musician. I make very little money in terms of fiat week by week. I probably at the time I purchased that was making about $300 to $400 a week, which is really barely enough to live off of, never mind save money to buy. But what had happened was that was the first wave of Bitcoin when it really entered the public consciousness and everybody started getting into the market, and I saw that happening. I loved the idea of cryptocurrency. I loved the idea of decentralization and freeing ourselves from central banking and government fiat. And so I went ahead, I had about $1,500. I was working really hard on saving and paying off debt at the time. So I put $1,500 into that and traded heavily between the new currencies over the next month or two. And then the bubble started to come down. I saw it happening, so I went ahead and just took it all out. And I had about a little more than double the money at that time. And right then was when that property came up for sale. It was a foreclosure and very, very affordable. And so I purchased that. And that was the first time in my life when my wealth really began to grow, where I moved out there and immediately my rent went away. And I was frugal. I was only spending $500 a month on rent, but that was very significant for a person making so little money. So right away my rent went away. I started growing food immediately, so my food bill mostly went away. I could collect water there. My water bill went away. I didn't even attach running water. My energy bills went down. I was able to start supplying my own fuel and such. And so my wealth began to snowball even though I was making nothing. And so I just want to tell that little anecdote as I talk to the cryptocurrency folks, because I know there's a lot of folks like myself, or like-minded like myself, who are sitting on a lot of capital right now because Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are just through the roof as we experience the slow collapse of the US dollar and the US empire. And I know the mindset of a lot of folks in this because I'm so much in that community. I know a lot of folks are planning to sit on that for a long time, and that's good. You should. But I would strongly encourage you to diversify into some kind of rural real estate. It doesn't mean take all your money out. It doesn't mean buy your dream house or your dream farm. But we are in very tumultuous times, and cryptocurrency is still very dependent on the grid. And what do you think all these governments and central banks are going to do if they're losing their power over people, which they are? What are they going to do? They're going to attack it. And how are they going to attack it? They're going to attack the grid. And I'm out here outside of Nashville. I got to experience that firsthand as I watched the bomb go off and take out communications and banking. People couldn't access their money in ATMs. It was only for a couple of days. It was just a little test run, I'm sure. But I got to see that, and it was a little terrifying, to be honest. Even as a fairly prepared person, it was really scary to watch my neighbors get desperate. And thank God I can grow food and I can turn my property into capital. And really, a piece of property you can turn into so many income streams, even a little one. Right now I'm in this little A-frame cabin here on 0.76 acres. And just this little thing I can rent out for several $100s a month. I'm growing food right over there. And it's a significant amount of food. I can get all the timber I need from this back lot. It's less than an acre, and it's supplying me with fiat currency. It's supplying me with food. It's supplying me with energy. And that's a tiny, cheap piece of property. It's taking care of my rent bill. It snowballs so much faster, and there's so many other forms of currency besides fiat, and that's where it really grows, is when you have a good piece of real estate and you live on that real estate. And so if you're sitting on fiat and you have the ability to diversify at any level, think about this. You could buy $1 million piece of property, or you could buy a $500 RV lot by a lake in Arkansas. There's a lot of property at every level that you can still afford. And I know a lot of folks are waiting for this real estate bubble to burst, which is happening and it's going to, but rural real estate may not burst because everyone is fleeing out here. All the realtors I've talked to have said that their inquiries have doubled, at least doubled. And I've watched the inventory get sucked up. I look at real estate every day, and you can't find rural real estate. And while the bubble may burst, I also think there's I'll put my tinfoil hat on a little bit and say there's a plan for that, which is the IMF and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and basically all these arms of central banks. They're going to snap it up. They're going to either own the real estate or they're going to own the debt for the people struggling, and then they're going to offer this, they're going to use that as leverage and say, if you accept the terms of our slavery deal here, you can stay in your house. And so they're going to suck up this real estate. That's my theory. I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong. But it seems like that's the way it's going, is they're going to take up many a lot of the market share. They're going to own all of that real estate. So you just may not be able to get it. And I don't think rural real estate is going to lose its value. The wealthy are fleeing out here to this county, and the poor are fleeing out here. I see it both. And if you look at what happened in Rome, the fall of the Roman Empire, or you look at the Black Plague, or any tumultuous event like that in human history, rural real estate goes up. That's where people want to be, because if you're smart, this is where you are. You are not in a major city at this point. You're crazy if you're in a major city. Get the out. So if you are sitting on a real nice pile of Bitcoin or crypto right now, I would just really encourage you to diversify. You don't have to spend it all, but just diversify into some kind of real estate. You will see your wealth snowball, but also you'll see other changes. You start growing food out there, you'll see your health change. You stop drinking fluoridated water, you'll feel your mind change. I felt it all. I feel like I was a crazy person when I lived in the city. When I got out here, my whole life, my whole mindset improved. Everything from my health, my mental health, my physical health, my allergies went away when I started foraging and eating food off of this property. I just can't preach about it enough. Get some real estate, get some dirt. They're never going to make more. They can make a lot of different kinds of cryptocurrencies, and they can attack cryptocurrency, but they can't take your land away. I know a lot of people think they can. That's an excuse they say is, well, what about property tax? What about government? They'll come and take your land away. If they're taking my land away, we're already in tyranny, and I'm not going into their city, and I'm not going into their camps. I'm going to die on my land. I'm going to live free, and I'm going to die free. So make that choice now. Think about that now and decide what you're going to do. Nobody's ever taking me off of my land for any reason ever. And that's also the reason why I'm building a community. This is why I not get a whole bunch of like-minded people on some land that's not really worth much to the powers that shouldn't be, but is worth a lot to you. There's chances are they're going to leave you alone. Look at the Amish. They've been left alone for many hundreds of years for the most part. They're smart. They figured it out. So that's the end of my spiel here is take some of that crypto. Please put it into dirt. If you're not sure where to start, message me on the Sovereign Village Project website, sovereignvillageproject.com. There's a contact form on there, and just, you don't have to tell me your whole finances and situation, and I have nothing to sell you, except for homestead design. I do that now, but I have nothing to sell you. I would just like to guide people in the right direction, and as much as my time allows, I'll try to offer you some feedback and let you know what's worked for me and what hasn't, and where you should be looking, and just the basics of real estate. I'm going to make a lot of videos about that as well, so stay tuned to that. But yeah, do it. Get some dirt. They're not making more, and it's amazing stuff. It's amazing to eat food you grew on your land. It's amazing to warm your hands over a fire from timber that you cut down. Anybody can do it. It doesn't matter if you've lived in a city your whole life. You can do this. You can homestead. You need to. Everybody needs to be on land and raising their own food and homesteading. Everybody. So happy homesteading, everybody. Stay safe and be well.